Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's check it out and see what happens.
And that she was upset. I apologized. And she took it really, really well.
Good. Are you sure?
Yeah. Why do you want the reassurance? Like, what do you think I'm not telling you?
I don't know.
You think I'm holding back on you? Mm-hmm. What do you think I'm holding back on you about?
That you don't love me as much as I want you to, like, you know.
Uh-oh. Okay. So this might be the drunkest we've ever seen her, which is, I think, saying something. Nothing wrong with her drinking. It's fine. She can do that. I've already been over what the general policy is and practices around alcohol. At least this season, my contact on the show talked about how once they're in the apartments, there's not much they can do. But when they're in the pods and in the getaway, they do try to prevent people from getting this drunk because it doesn't help for the show. It creates chaos. Bad things can happen, right? Now, you could tell me that my contact on the show is lying to me and that they're constantly like shoving alcohol down their throats the way that the internet mob will say. And I won't be able to refute that. I can't know. But anyway, so for her, she's hammered, but she's communicating something I think is something that's on her mind, which wouldn't be unusual for anyone on the show to feel this. It was just like, does this person really love me? Is it true? Is it real? But I think it's particularly compounded for her because of her insecurities and the way that her traumas are plaguing her. I don't know if she has traumas, but she said a few things that seem to indicate that. She basically said something on the lines of, if this doesn't work out, it'll be because I fucked things up, something like that. Anyway, and she's repeatedly exhibited this sentiment that she doesn't believe that he loves her, maybe that anyone could love her or something. I don't know. But also, I think it's compounded by the fact that the way he communicates isn't super convincing. Now, a lot of people, I'm guessing, online or the audience are saying that he is lying. And he might be, but there's also another possibility that he's not lying. He could either be in love with her, but more unsure than he is letting on, which wouldn't be strange. Or he really is in love with her the way that she wants, and because of his way, the way his parents talked about him, he just isn't very emotive. And there isn't that vibe of need that he would have if he was really in love with someone, you know? When, you know, how do we know, especially in this phase of relationship, you know, so early, how do we know that someone loves us? There's a lot of different indicators, and there's culture and there's individual differences. But one of them is when my person needs something, they come to me, or they alert me, or they say, I need you, or there's a spontaneity to their motivation toward me, either lust-wise or cuddle-wise or talk-wise or crying or happy. When something happy, you know, there's a vulnerability that you will see from your partner that differentiates you from other people, right? And we could imagine that Nick doesn't do that with anyone. And if he's in love with Annie, which maybe he is, and he's not exhibiting that, it would be understandable for Annie to just be like, does he? I hear the words and they're the actions of love, but I'm not really feeling it, right? So, you know, that's my best guess as to what's happening, honestly, the longer I watch Nick and his behavior. I think there's also a distinct possibility that a while back he started having doubts creep in, and this isn't going to help necessarily, right?
So you're gonna be happy with me.
So you think I don't?
Now, what I would hope is that Nick or Annie would say, I'm too hammered to have this conversation. This is not going to go well. We need a lot of our prefrontal cortex, our executive function, our emotional regulation, our higher-minded thinking. We need a lot of that in order to handle a difficult conversation like this, even when we're sober. When we're intoxicated, a lot of that function is offline. That's one of the hallmarks of being intoxicated, is lack of, not being inhibited, right? You are saying, I love you, man, or you're willing to, make out with someone in the bathroom that you wouldn't have normally done when you were sober. We all understand that, right? Not everyone's like that. Certainly not everyone that's drinking is doing things like that, but you get what I mean. The reason why that is because our normal checks and balances on our behavior, on our emotions, on our impulses is not functioning. We have, in my education, they give us medicine education, medical education, neurobiology, and I could try to grasp at, there's GABA, and that's why I call it a depressive. It's because it's inhibiting neural activity. That's also why motor coordination starts to get wonky, because the neurons are resisting firing when they would normally be firing. So the brain is half not functioning correctly, and there are functions of the brain that require a lot of neural functionality, prefrontal cortex being one of them. And when we have drunkenness, particularly this amount, like, we might have almost no ability to edit what we say. We also wouldn't have an ability to check in with our emotions and also check in with, like, is this reasonable to say? I wouldn't be surprised if she's so drunk that she doesn't even comprehend the point of conversation that she's in. That's not uncommon. That when someone's this intoxicated, they only remember the last thing that was talked, because that's why we don't remember. That's why we have brownouts and blackouts. It's because of that effect of alcohol that prevents neural activity from firing normally. It will affect our ability to encode memories. So we actually, the next day or even the next minute, we won't remember what happened the previous minute or the previous day, because memories aren't being encoded. And it's important to remember the various things that have been said to lead up to a particular moment in a conflict or a discussion like this, so that you can comprehend what's happening. Also, it wouldn't be strange for Annie to have some hurt and some fear right now, right? Some of that might be normal. And those emotions will cause a lot of impulses and motivations to, do something about it. Like, don't do this to me, or you're doing it to me, or I'm going to run away, or the world is over. Like, you've seen drunk people before, right? It's because they don't have their prefrontal cortex. They don't have the rest of their brain to say, well, wait a second. It feels this way, but is it really this way? Or I have an impulse to start a fight right now, but is that fair? Is this the right time? We need our whole brain in situations like this.
I took 5 hours or so out of my work day to put everything on the back burner just to help you get caught up in your work and be there at your salon and help you and love you.
Okay, amazing.
If that's not...
He's heard this a number of times, I think, maybe even a lot off camera as well. Maybe not this exactly, but, this basic sentiment. And so he's reached a point where he's being defensive, and he's like, what more am I supposed to do? Why? So if he genuinely loves her, which I think there's a good chance that, at least in part, right, it would be hurtful. It's like, so all the love and the effort and the vibe that I am giving you, not out of obligation or as a gift, genuinely, you're not receiving any of it. That's hurtful. That's concerning. That my love for you, you're just going to ignore, or you're going to forget or discard, or it can feel that way. And I think he's exhibiting that. Again, just go to bed. Talk about it in the morning.
Love. I mean, I don't know what is. What more do you want from me?
Baby, I'm just trying to understand you.
I know, but
she's about to pass out. So at the very least, if you're Nick, just say, let's talk about it in the morning. Going back to that, as they were leaving the getaway, honey, how about you just go to sleep? How about and he's not doing that this time. I don't know why. He doesn't seem very intoxicated himself. Maybe he is. I don't know. But she is. If she sat down on the couch, I think she'd be out. So, yeesh. And yeah, I would think that the producers would say, let's shut this down. Now, what I've heard from my contact is that does happen. My contact told me that Annie, in the pods where everything's being filmed, I won't even say what my contact told me everything that happened with Annie, or not Annie, Anna, that night, which, the day before she ghosted. She was extremely intoxicated, and another show absolutely would have showed that whole thing, including the things I'm not even mentioning, for the drama's sake. They didn't show it. So they're not, apparently in some situations, they're not trying for that sort of content, right? They want drama, but they don't want that kind of drama, right? So it's actually kind of surprising. Now, I wonder if when they got it, in the editing room, and they're like, well, normally we wouldn't show a scene like this, but we don't have much else to go off of because almost everyone is hammered, or there's a lot of drunkenness that's occurring, but maybe particularly with Annie, I don't know. Again, there's nothing wrong with her being drunk. There's nothing wrong with her almost passing out. She's a grown woman. She can do that. I guess I would just wonder how she would feel about this being on the show. I don't know. But she did correct. She's just like, I don't know. I just, And so she's redirecting so she has enough brain cells that are functioning for that. So that's good.
Really trying to show up for you.
Mm-hmm. I know. So I'm happy.
Me too. But you just said you don't think I love you as much as you love me. So I'm trying to understand.
No, I'm just like not sure.
Yeah, even though she's clearly intoxicated and maybe tired to boot, she's handling it well. She's like, yeah, I'm not saying anything unusual. I'm just unsure, and I guess I'm worried about it, and I'm okay with it. So let's just move on. So he's hurt or wants to have this conversation in front of the cameras, or because it'd be so easy for him to be like, yeah, okay, and then let's just move. The cameras go away, and then they have a conversation. You just got to think that the cast members in this phase know that they don't have to have these conversations on camera.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I need you to be happy here, in this moment with me.
I'm happy. I'm here. I'm in this moment with you. What more do you want?
Nothing.
Obviously, you're upset.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because the cameras are there, or he's at his wit's end, or camel, last straw on the camel's back, or what. But he's trying to start something. There were several moments where it was over. Now, I guess what he would say is, but she said that thing that she thinks that she's in love with me more than I'm in love with her, and I don't understand that. That bothers me. Okay, there's a lot of ways to handle that. Like, hey, I do love you a lot, and it hurts my feelings that you don't see it, or something like that. And I think she'd be like, oh, okay, I think she's ready to move forward. So I don't know. Maybe I imagine he sees that she's hammered. So what's the point of having this conversation? And, earlier I was like, they know they're being filmed, so why are they having the conversation in front of the camera? They could easily have it off camera if they wanted to. So that implies that they're doing it as a performance or something. That's not necessarily the case. I know actually from cast members that they might even use, it's sort of like therapy in a kind of twisted way. Like, I'll just say from my life, I have clients that will come into my office, and they will, even knowingly, they'll tell me, we put off conversations until we're here because we know that we'll have you here to kind of keep things under control, and we know that we've turned our phones off and the kids aren't going to bother us, and da-da-da. So we kind of wait until we're here. Now, I, of course, I have a hope, an objective that they can have these conversations in the real world, because then they don't need me to help them with that. But, in the interim, it's a viable strategy. And so for cast members, I know that they will sometimes feel like when they're just living their lives, particularly and when they're back at their apartments and stuff, that it's kind of hard to put their phones down and really have a conversation and trust that the other person will dedicate the energy to it, or maybe there's worries of like, well, maybe we'll get out of control if we don't have a third party here to monitor both of us, me included. And so they'll use these scenarios because, there's the cameras, but there's also, production around the audience that potentially is watching. And so it keeps them focused, and so there could be a healthy motivation to wait or to capitalize on the fact that the cameras are here. She's hammered though, so I can't imagine any scenario where, so what am I saying? Nick knows that she's hammered, and she is hammered. So why would he be digging into this? I mean, we haven't seen anything building up to it. I think we were supposed to believe at the party that Annie got upset at him because he went over to talk to Kate, but I don't think that's the case. So, and she's being super cool about it. She's just like, yeah, I get it. It's fine. Okay, you love me. Yeah, I got you, and I feel it. And yeah, let's move forward. So what's he doing? Okay, so if I were to take a guess, he is uncertain and either unconsciously or consciously is trying to muck things up a little bit. Or he's trying to change her or change their dynamic so that he can move forward and be yes at the altar. But I don't know. I would imagine that anyone in his shoes would be like, okay, I think I might be breaking up with her. But how do I get out of this relationship? How do I break up with her? How do I say no at the altar with minimal people hating me? Well, one of the things I can do is I can make it seem like it was her fault, or that she's a jerk face, or that she's a problem or something. And so maybe it's that. I don't want to think that, or he literally is just having the feeling that he's stating, which is totally fine. He's just like, hey, I love you and I've been giving you love, and you're saying that you don't feel it, you don't receive it. So, maybe it's just that.
I love you. And I want to make sure that you love me too.
I do love you, and if you can't see that, that's concerning.
I need a little bit more confirmation.
I really care about you.
Yeah. So everything's going great. Annie is strangely, given her intoxication level, I think she's being totally rational here. She's just like, I just want a little bit more. And I think that's fine for her to ask. I could understand her saying that. And she's not hostile. She's not freaking out. She's like, well, I just want a little bit more. And he's like, yeah, I want to do that. And so they're like, okay.
I love you too.
I was like, babe, I love you.
Well,
that was so dumb.
What's dumb?
How much I love you. I love you so much.
I love you too.
That's literally all I want.
So.
Yeah, I'll just highlight, I don't know. I mean, of course, everyone wants love, and they'll say phrases like that. All I want is just a loving relationship. Yeah, but given all the things that we've seen her say, that there's a chance that it's almost literally true, that she doesn't want anything else. She doesn't know what she wants, or she doesn't feel like she deserves to want anything else of her own wants. She just wants to be loved. She doesn't even necessarily want to love someone or to have someone that's good for her. She just wants someone to finally love her and not leave her. It has that smell to it, I of course can't know, but there's hints of that in a variety of things that she has said.
Let's focus on that.
Now, again, I'll repeat that if that is the case, or it's near that ballpark, it's not a decision that people make. People don't say, I'm going to be like that. No, you're like that from day one, typically. Just as a way of driving this home, children, very young children, 2 years old, don't know themselves yet. They don't have power in the world yet. They're getting to know the world, themselves, their emotions. They have a hard time really knowing what they want, how they feel. That's why they need us to help them with that, reflect or model to them, guide them to getting to know themselves, getting to know their emotions, reflecting their emotions, mirroring their emotions. Oh, you feel tired today. The kid's like, oh, is that what that is? So kids learn that, but when they come into this world, they don't inherently have that ability. And so if someone is an adult and they don't have that ability, they might not have ever been given a chance to develop that. So just because someone is, coming from that place doesn't mean that they once had that ability or they do have that ability and they're just not doing it.
Yeah. Like, I love you. Like, you're amazing.
And I can't.
Nick, like, you're exactly who I want to be married to. Like, you're exactly the person that, like, I envision every day. Like,
Yeah, she's hammered. But this is what she says sober too. I think it's in line. Now, there's another way of looking at this, if you're Nick, of like, do you love me or do you love this vision of me? How can you be so sure? How can you say all those nice things? Now, that could be confusing to the audience and maybe to Annie. I was just like, well, we're engaged, so isn't that what we're supposed to do? But the way that she talks, it seems not exaggerated, like she's purposely exaggerating, but it seems almost like the way that children will think about, black and white kind of idealization thing, right? You're perfect, everything about, like when they're at the party and they're talking about, I'm not perfect. And then she's like, you're perfect. And not, as I said it in a reassuring way, like, I want to reassure you. I think she literally is that sort of black and white way of thinking about things, because of the things we've seen and the total hypothesized, total speculation about lack of attunement growing up. So she doesn't have that nuanced gray zone, So, if you're the recipient of that, it can be very confusing because on one hand, you're just like, wow, she's really into me. And who wouldn't want that? But why doesn't it feel good? Well, it's because it can feel like it's false because it doesn't have any gray zone there to it. It feels like they're in love with a vision or their own mind of who you are. It could even feel distancing of like, well, can I have any flaws? Can I be human? It sounds weird, but it can have that effect.
I love you too.
I'm not sure that that's like how you see me.
You're putting me through the extremes right now in so many ways.
No.
You're saying you're showing up for me, you're not showing up for me. I love you, you don't love me. And I'm telling you that I'm here for you. All I'm trying to do is...
And I'll add that there's a good possibility that he has a history, not only with other women, but his family, of being accused of being distant when he doesn't feel distant, of being inconsiderate when he's trying to be considerate. Even though he might be able to acknowledge that he's a little bottled up, it can feel hurtful when you're trying. It can almost feel like you're broken, that your love isn't felt by other people, like you're a ghost, like you don't matter, or and then you have to ask, well, if that's not the case, then there is something wrong with me, and even though I'm pouring my heart out, people still don't really receive it. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? It can feel bad to hear this over and over again. And if he does have a history of that, which I know he has a history, because the way the mom was talking, I think they've had conversations about it, about him being distant. And maybe there's been criticism too, of just like, you don't care about other people's feelings, if he's a teenager, that kind of thing. And sometimes people like him will be called, like, it's hard to read them. They'll be called, this is avoidant attachment, but they'll be called strong, meaning that they don't have vulnerable emotions. They don't need other people. They're independent, but they're pathologically independent because they don't even consciously understand that asking for help is viable. They've given up on that since they were very young. And it could just be really frustrating to try to love. And you can imagine in a scenario, if any of this is close, that he would think, I'm putting it all out there. I'm engaged, y'all. Like, I am not holding back. I am sharing everything, and I'm loving, and I'm doing everything. And it's still happening. Will anyone love me back? Will anyone receive my love? Will anyone see me? I'm trying to say things, So I have no idea if that's what he's going through, but there's a chance.
Eat this chalupa and enjoy the night, all right? So can we just do that?
Okay.
Yes, chalupa, enjoy the night, go to bed, talk about it in the morning. All right, well, tune in next time when I continue watching, if you care to. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.